Welcome to the 2019 Halloween special, where we play Vampire the Masquerade for a month.
Yay!
It's 100 degrees outside.
It's 100 fucking degrees outside, because we are not recording this. We are not recording this on Halloween.
You guys are.
We are recording this in, July, and it's a million fucking degrees, and it sucks here.
There are literally weather records being set all over the U.S., and not in a good way.
Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be 95. I mean, where I am. You guys
Fuck
are gonna be
this
dead,
dumb country. Fuck this dumb climate change. Anyway, but so far as our listeners know, it's Halloween! And it's probably a much more reasonable temperature. So, Vampire the Masquerade is a game that I've wanted to play since... Probably. It's been several months that I've wanted to play this. I'm so excited to try this. We are going to be playing the Quick Start Guide, which is, if anyone else wants to play it, well, I mean, you're about to listen to it, and there's a pretty big plot twist. If you're listening to it, I wouldn't recommend playing it, but you can DM your friends through it who haven't listened to this podcast. That would be fine. But it's free. It's available on the website of the company who makes the game, White Wolf or Modifius. I don't really know. I think one of Modifius owns White Wolf or White Wolf owns Modifius. I'm not sure how it works. Either way, the Quick Start Guide is free. It's meant to give you a brief glance into what the game is, how it works, the mechanics, and that's exactly what we need. So we are playing, each of us, including me, because there are only 4 of us in there. This game was made for 5, but there are only 4 of us, so I'm going to have to play a character. But we're each playing the pre-made characters that come with the Quick Start Guide. And let's start with introductions. And I want to start with Juana, because Juana is my favorite.
Alright, so Val here, and I'm playing Juana. Juana Jones. And
AKA best character.
Dislike.
Anyway, I am a cat lady.
Crazy cat lady.
Some might say I'm crazy. I think of myself as a cat lady. And they're all over the city, and they talk with me sometimes, and they'll actually do what I want them to do. Unlike others.
Like these useless other people in my coterie.
By the way, like my other friends, but yeah.
Coterie, by the way, is it's like the vampire equivalent of D&D party. Now let's do Eileen. Tell us about Eileen.
Eileen, yes. Kay here, playing Eileen, the hot bitch. She is the artiste, and that is her whole life view. The world is her canvas, and just, lately she's just been a little bored, ever since she became a vampire. And
bored for the last 30 years. They were all turned in the 80s. It's been 30 years of boredom.
Yeah, she's getting a little bored, she needs some inspo, and, sometimes, she meets somebody who's, interesting, but, mostly not. And, she's got, mixed feelings about her party. Mostly she just hangs out with them because, she would probably die of boredom if she didn't.
Her party is definitely interesting. I, in addition to being the storyteller, I'm going to be playing Charles Cruz. He's a tool. I'm not going to mince words. He's kind of a douchebag. So yeah, Charles, he thinks of himself as, I guess a knight in shining armor, except he's a vampire, and if the armor is shining, he's in sunlight, which means he's about to die very soon. His clan is Bruja, because of course it is. He is in love with Eileen, because of course he is.
I'm just that hot.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. I think he's probably one of the stronger characters, mechanics-wise, but it's made up for the fact that him being a complete dickhole. And finally, last and probably least as well, let's talk about Paul.
Fucking monsters. You're all fucking monsters. Well, Paul he's very offended that we're going last, even in this part of the story here, because Paul is the most important person in this entire fucking campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
Paul used to do, finance analytics, and he sees patterns all the time. And they are 100% of the time 100% accurate and definitely not made up in his mind. Mm-hmm. That is a true 100% thing.
He
So-
sees visions, and on all the visions have to do with him for some reason.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And they're always right. Or at least they're right enough, often enough that it's just annoying enough to be
Yeah, Paul is
really shitty.
Paul is Malkavian. Some of the features of the clan Malkavian are that they are like oracles and they are seers. And that's definitely he definitely got all of the good parts of Malkavian. All his accuracies are very good and complete, and not
Yep.
wrong and stupid.
Never wrong, ever.
Charles is Bruja. I mentioned that Eileen is Toreador, which is the clan for pretty people, for basic bitches. And Juana is Best Clan Nosferatu. So they're all from different clans, they all have different sires, but they were all sired around the same time. And you all have a boss named Sam Stokes. This campaign, by the way, is set in New York City. It's set in the shitty part of New York City, though, not like the fancy Manhattan places. We're talking like closer to Jersey. Actually, no, let's set it in the Jersey burbs of New York City.
There we go.
No.
Yes,
Why?
it's too late. So your boss, she's not really your boss. All of you owe her a boon because she helped you out when you were fledgling vampires. Her name is Sam Stokes. She has sent you all to meet a contact in the New Jersey, I guess technically, the New Jersey police force, because there has been a string of murders. They look like they were done by vampires, which is not good. If a vampire has been killing people, that's a violation of the Masquerade. The Masquerade being the long-standing tenet that mortals must not know that vampires exist. You obviously, as a vampire, you're allowed to kill people, but you're not allowed to leave evidence that it was a vampire. If it's a mortal that's doing this, that could draw attention to actual vampires, so that's still bad. And if it's something else, well, you're gonna have to find a way to stop that. What do we do with monsters? So the first scene begins. You are waiting for your contact. Sam has told you that his name is Robert Weber. He's a detective. And he is one of the few people in the police force who knows about the existence of vampires, although he himself is mortal. He would have gone wherever you wanted to meet him, so where would you have asked to meet him? It would have to be, obviously, at night, but it could be anywhere.
Like a seedy bar.
A bar?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like seedy bars.
Okay, it's a seedy
One
bar.
of those, it's dramatically seedy. You know what I'm saying? It's got a lot of dark corners.
A lot of dark corners, not very well populated. You're not entirely sure how they stay in business kind of bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right, right.
Exactly.
I just want to point out we're just starting this and we literally just shoehorned ourselves into you meet in an inn.
Right,
Trope.
exactly.
I left
mean,
it up
it's
to you, so...
I'm sorry, a library. Let's go to the fucking library.
Do you think
No, it's too
Eileen knows
late.
how to read? Come on.
She's too pretty to
Eileen's
read.
Too pretty.
I know. She's like, no,
Well-
reading is for, ugly people.
Val, if you wanted to go somewhere different, you gotta suggest something.
Right.
I'm just teasing.
And we should probably actually mention about Juana. Like I said, Juana is Clan Nosferatu. The distinguishing feature of Clan Nosferatu is that they're hideously deformed. And so Juana wears it's up to you really, but she usually covers her face somehow. Usually with, I'm guessing it could be like a hoodie, or she's like a sewer dwelling rat person, so she probably prefers like rags or something. But it's up to you, Val, how you want to cover her.
I'll think of something and we can edit it in, maybe?
There we go.
All right.
That's it.
Are you guys early or late to this meeting?
Paul is early.
All right, and if
Paul is sitting in a bar in the dark corner.
Juana is late. She was outside talking with a very nice tabby cat.
Yeah, I would say probably Eileen is late too, just because, you don't run in stilettos, so.
Well, you probably would have all left together.
Yeah.
And if
That
Paul...
doesn't mean we're inside on time.
That's true. Like, I can imagine, like, you all arrive at the bar at the same time, but then Juana's like, oh, it's a tabby! And then she immediately fucks off, and they're like, well, we're early anyway, so just let her go.
Yeah.
We'll get her when the detective arrives. So this bar, it's shitty. There's, like, a barely functioning jukebox in one corner that's playing some tunes that were hip 40 years ago. Like, even before your guys' time, when you were alive. But Detective Robert Weber, he is right on time. And you probably see him enter Juana as you are still petting this tabby cat out in the alley. So you probably follow him inside. Maybe with the tabby cat, who's going to tell you to stop.
Eileen's just like, no, don't do not bring that in.
It should be mentioned that most animals naturally hate vampires. Really, the only exception is with a character like Juana, who has points in a discipline called animalism, where she can talk to animals and converse with animals a little more easily. So she is the exception, not the norm. The cat definitely hisses at the rest of you. So Robert Weber, he is like a prototypical Jersey cop. He's got the Jersey accent. He's got this big bushy mustache. He looks tired, like he's perpetually tired. And he has this file under one arm. He looks very, very nervous. You can definitely tell that he is mortal. He is alive. And, being nervous about this meeting is probably reasonable for a mortal. But he picks you out of the crowd immediately, Paul. And he heads over to you and he says, Paul Clooney?
Paul is wearing dark glasses inside. I would like to point out he has giant sunglasses on.
I mean, it's already nightfall, but okay.
Yeah.
He's
sunglasses
kind of
inside at night. Okay.
In a very dark corner. He can't see very well. So he looks up and he goes, "Are you asking for me?"
Is your name Paul Clooney?
Who wants to know?
Me.
Well, okay, then
obviously,
sit down.
yeah. He sits down. I imagine the rest of you join him at the bar. Charles is probably sitting next to Paul. I'd hesitate to call them like besties, but they're probably the closest of the two. The closest between any of the other relationships. They're friends. But yes, Eileen and Juana both sit down. Juana with her kitty, who does not like the other vampires. He says, "All right, so I'll try to keep this brief." He sets the files down in front of you. He says, over the last week, there have been 2 deaths in various places throughout the city. One of them is Simon Drummer, and one of them is Carl Thrush. He says, the last one was only killed 2 days ago. The bodies are in the morgue, but they haven't really been analyzed yet. We haven't even talked to the families. I've been holding off on the investigation because I know that Sam wanted you guys to take the lead on this investigation, since it looks it's not impossible that and he kind of clears his throat nervously, one of your kind.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
we are the most competent in the city, so it's a good thing that you referred to us.
Eileen just rolls her eyes.
We're certainly the most confident.
He says, I can answer basic questions about them, but you should be able to find most of their information in the file. I'm leaving it up to you. When you know what you want me to do with the investigation, how you want me to clean it up or investigate it normally, whatever I'll follow your lead. After you've done your investigation, tell me what to do, and I'll make sure that it gets seen through, and I'll make sure any vampires are kept quiet.
Paul leans forward and he smiles slightly. He goes, "Oh yes, you certainly will follow our instructions."
Juana just puts a head in her hands, oh man, come on.
Holds the cat out in front of Paul's face, and the cat hisses.
Oh, the mummy.
So, tell us more about the nature of these humans' death.
He says, well, they were both drained of blood. So the first one, Simon Drummer, he was a college student, kind of a jock. He was found in a storm drain. But there was some rainfall not long afterwards, and it made a mess of the crime scene. I don't know how much you're going to be able to get from the scene. He was early 20s. He was attending college in, it says another state, so I'm going to say, let's say Connecticut. Because this is very hoity-toity. He was attending college in Connecticut. Very, very all-American. And he says, now Carl Thrush...
Doing it in Jersey.
Probably, the only reason college kids come to Jersey is to party, probably.
To anyone watching from Jersey, we are kind of sorry.
No,
I'm not sorry. Fuck New Jersey.
New Jersey is trash.
I'm sorry for these people from Virginia that have no taste.
Don't out us.
There are parts of Jersey that are okay, but it's not the part right.
It's not the part close to. It's not the part close to NYC. That part of New Jersey blows.
Right, I have a whole history. I have a whole thing about Jersey. We don't want to get into it.
Moving on.
Anyway, Carl.
Yes. Victim number 2, Carl Thrush. So he's like, as he's talking, he's like flipping through the files that he put on the table, and he says, "Now, before I got into homicide, I was in narc, and I know a cooker when I see one." He says he lived with his parents, but made a surprising amount of money. He was in his mid-30s, and listen, there are a very limited number of reasons why a man who lives with his parents in his parents' basement in his 30s would make this much money. And, you know, you can put together the rest of the information. And he slides the files over to you, and he says, these files have the contact information from the parents, the morgue where you can find their bodies, whatever you need to do.
How
do we
get
get
into the morgue without
He
badges?
He says, I mean, I don't know. The morgue is a separate jurisdiction. Maybe you can vampire your way in?
I would say no. Paul laughs and goes, "That won't be a problem."
If Robert Webber was a vampire, he would be absolutely aware of how much bullshit you're putting out right now, Paul. But because he is immortal, he is sufficiently spooked. Like,
Excellent.
Oh, it's not going to be a problem. Why is it going to be a problem? Woo!
I mean, Juana's wondering, okay, am I going to have to pose as a dead body again?
Oh, don't worry. We're not going to let you not let anyone see you. Your unfortunate face, Juana.
Thanks.
Just being honest. If anybody wants to see somebody, it's going to be my face that they want to see.
Charles is like, I mean, she's not wrong. So,
Well, it's my face. Don't forget my face.
So, do you have any other questions for Detective Weber? Because he is eager to get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
He is scared of you and this bar.
How do we get a hold of you, Detective?
Yeah, I lean in super close and say that.
He's
like
I
uncomfortably like smelling distance.
Oh, gross.
He slides you his card, and he says, "Do you guys have phones?" You do, and it's actually a little bit insulting that he has to ask if you have phones. Like, it's 2019. Even vampires have phones. Come on.
Yeah, of course
Everyone
we
has a
do.
phone.
Come
I've had
on.
a phone since the 80s.
He says, "The 80s, but you can't be. You know what? Never mind." And he makes sure that you have his phone.
Excellent. Detective, you are dismissed. We'll call upon you if we need you.
He says, "Thanks," and he immediately fucking bolts. So is there any information you want to glean from the files that Detective Weber left for you?
Yes. Wait, like, were they in the same place, like where the body's found? In fact, actually, where was Carl's body found?
Carl was found in a copse of trees near a forest.
Okay.
So not the same, within the same neighborhood, obviously, because this is all falling within Sam's jurisdiction, but definitely in a separate place.
And he was also drained, but nothing else about the case, like in terms of weird marks or anything like that.
No, drained. You'd have to go to the morgue to look at his body. He's been stalling the investigation, so more thorough notes are not present in these files. Just the very basic stuff.
Okay. Here, what time of year is it? Is it like summer vacation?
Yeah, it's probably mid-late summer, because that's a good reason for a college jock to be back home.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was that's an unusual thing or not. So, okay.
Even though my default is to set everything in winter because I hate summer so much. But no, it's probably summer break. And if you don't have any questions, you can go to the next scene, which is pretty much wherever you want to go. There's a whole bunch of places you could conceivably go to get more information.
Just curious, how far away are either of the scenes from where we are right now?
You're all, Sam's jurisdiction is a very strict, I don't want to get too deep into the lore, but Sam is what's called a prince in Masquerade lore, Vampire the Masquerade lore. It means she has jurisdiction over a very specific neighborhood. And usually these specific neighborhoods aren't more than 10 miles in any direction. It's her hunting ground. She has dominion over this place. So it's pretty small. They were all found within this same area.
Okay. Reason I'm asking is because I can communicate with animals, and I can, maybe ask the cats to keep an eye out for any shady folks, or if they saw anything.
Yeah, if you want to do crazy cat lady shit, by all means.
You could definitely try. I believe it would force you to do a rouse check, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Which, you can do that, but there are consequences to doing a rouse check.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll hold off for now until we're closer.
So where do you guys want to go? And you can talk about this in character as well as out of character.
Well, should we go to the morgue or the scene first? I think maybe the scene, especially since they mentioned the rain.
Well, no, the rain made the scenes a mess, so you're probably not going to get a whole lot from the murder scenes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also I'm wearing designer, so no, fuck that.
There was, and that's true, there was heavy summer rain recently, so any physical evidence left behind at the scene is probably badly destroyed. You could go to the morgue, you could talk to the families. You could ask around the neighborhood, maybe?
I think the next step is to go to the morgue, and that way we can figure out what's going on with these bodies. I know once I get my eyes on them, I'll be able to discern the pattern, and we'll be able to solve this investigation in no time.
Girl's like, okay, buddy.
Your patterns.
Okay, buddy. He thumps him on the back, sure thing.
It's like thumping him on the back because he's not actually he's a very wispy little man. So he visibly flinches and then glares at him.
Okay, so you want to go to the morgue first?
Yep, as much as I hate to agree with you, yeah.
So the morgue, so it's outside of Sam's territory, but it is still within the county precinct. So it's quite a ways off. I imagine at least one of you has a car, probably, that can take you there. It's a little...
Oh my God. Yes. Paul has an old 80s convertible with a car phone.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Of course. That's on brand. That's on brand. If he was a stock trader in the 80s, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so you all reluctantly get into his shitty 80s Lexus or whatever. And you all head to the morgue. So the morgue at night is staffed only by one attendant. You can see them through the window, the big window next to the door. They look very tired, like they did not agree. Maybe they're covering for another person who usually works the night shift. They're yawning, they're on their computer. How do you want to approach this?
Does the hot one want to distract?
Yeah, I was I have awe. I can be like, hey.
Yeah, I think Paul looks at Eileen and says, "Well, it's your turn to shine, baby."
Eileen holsters her boobs.
Yeah, she's like, "Darling, I always shine." Plump. Yeah, definitely grabs her boobs and pushes them up.
Oh, I know that move.
Yeah, awe is free, so I can just saunter on up to the, strut her stuff and activate awe.
Okay, do you guys want to come with her, or do you want to stay outside? And it might pose some difficulties if the awe doesn't work and they see you sneaking in. Wow.
Yeah, I at least need a +1.
Yeah, I'm definitely going.
Charles does not want to leave Eileen alone, especially now that her boobs are holstered. He's very interested in seeing where that goes.
Oh God!
This feels like that was the most asexual way of being
right
interested in women.
He sure does like them boobs.
She's whipping out a mirror and checking her lipstick.
Actually,
okay.
Toreador don't have reflections, and that's actually unique to the Toreador. Most other vampires can see their reflections, but Toreador can't.
It's almost like it's almost like the vain ones don't get to look at themselves.
Yep.
So what's really happening is you're looking at a mirror and Juana is gesturing for, oh no, you need to adjust the
yeah, she's that way, a little you got a little something on your teeth. Okay. A little thing.
Alright, so you all head in together, it sounds like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, so it's an aging...
Juana, how are you gonna hide yourself?
Okay, so I thought about it and I think I want to go with just a scarf that's, up over the lower part of my face, and my hair just kind of hangs down and covers, most of I just kind of let my hair fall in front of my face as much as possible.
Good, look sad. Look like you're in mourning.
Oh, my poor grandson.
There we go. Perfect. I love it.
All right. That it's a look, especially in the middle of summer in New Jersey. But sure,
okay. She's Russian. Excuse her.
Burn victims can hide themselves however they want.
Exactly. It was a terrible accident in Russia. Please
How Rude.
All right, so you all wander in. The little assistant looks up with a start. We're gonna say it's a woman. She's got spiky blue hair, so you know she's probably gay. And she drops her cell phone when Eileen walks in.
Oh, I hope your cell phone is okay.
Yeah, it's. Can I help you?
I have to roll to activate awe. Manipulation plus presence versus composure versus intelligence. She's gonna, I guess, ask about like where the bodies are kept and try to be like, oh, you know, we're family. I just wanted to see him. I want to see them.
Let me take a look at your sheet too, so I can know what the fuck this ability is.
So you can do awe for them being like super hot, or you can use awe for them to be like terrified.
Add the presence rating to any skill roll involving persuasion or performance, as well as to other charisma-related skills at the storyteller's discretion. Anywhere where they're being affected, so she does not know because she's obviously immortal. On a win, the target can resist. Okay, so it lasts for a scene. So yeah, this should be more than enough. So roll presence, roll manipulation plus presence, which for Eileen is 2 dots, I believe. Presence is 1 dot, and manipulation is 3 dots. So that's a total of 4 die.
Okay.
Total failure. Oh my god. And it's not
That's so funny.
It's not a bestial failure either. Alright, maybe okay, so she drops her phone, because no, she's a lesbian and she just can't.
She's like, oh no.
Wait, I have a girlfriend. And then immediately is like, sorry, what are you doing here? You're really not supposed to be here this late. Visiting hours aren't until, waking hours.
It's just our dear grandmother, she like grabs Juana, is just so distraught. I had to bring her here.
Sobbing.
And you could so the attendant just kind of like recoils from the sight of Juana, like, yeah, sorry, visiting hours are 9 to 6.
I let out this just horrified, anguished wail.
Yeah, like, we're not really here to visit. We just want to see. Well, it'll be, like, super fast. We just want to see the body and then leave. That's all.
Yeah, no. Sorry, you rolled a total failure, so unless you want to re-roll.
Okay.
Just describe to me again. So is she, like, in a box, like, or, like, is she, like, blocking us from getting in? What's the...
She is at a long... It's like one of those long wraparound desks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the door is behind her. But she has a very clear line of sight to the front door and the door into the morgue.
Okay, but in theory... If we were to overpower her, we could get through.
I mean, you could knock her out. You'd take a stain for that. A stain is another mechanic that technically we don't have to fuss with in this quick start. But anytime you do something morally compromising, you take a stain, and then if you have enough stains, there's like a mechanic called degeneration where you take penalties, that kind of thing. So, like, yeah, you could knock her out if you really wanted to. That would definitely be a stain, though.
I think that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a stain, Paul, first of all.
Cool.
I was like,
do it the better way,
like,
Paul.
She's got a girlfriend, Paul.
Have a heart attack.
I'm not killing her.
So let's have Paul roll. Let's see, what would this be? I guess this would be dexterity plus melee. Actually, I'll let you do athletics. Dexterity plus athletics.
There we go. Success.
Yay.
All right, that is a success. So yeah, you successfully lunge across the counter and put this poor woman in a chokehold. Definitely take a stain on your humanity for that, Paul.
Okay, I did.
I like to imagine, like, she's like, Eileen is sitting there, like, leaning over the counter, boobs holstered, trying to seduce her, and it's just not working. Right. She's like, I have a girlfriend, please stop. And then Paul's like, fuck this, and then immediately puts her in a chokehold.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. I think he, like, snarls. He's like, we don't have time for this, Eileen, and snarls and puts her in a chokehold.
So you've knocked out the poor attendant. She's probably going to call the police when she wakes up, but that's fine.
Yeah, good job. Let's go.
We have the name. If you had done better with your boobs, this wouldn't have been a problem.
It's your boobs were more effective.
Juana just, like, walks past you, just ignoring you.
All right, so you all enter the morgue. You look around.
I want to stress that I put her like behind the desk, so it just looks like she's left and gone.
Okay.
Actually, no. I put her like in her chair, so from a distance, it looks like she's sitting at the desk, not doing her job.
Okay.
She's like head down on her arms,
Like she fell asleep on the job. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So yes, you can. So this is it's a pretty big morgue because this is a burb of New York City. Lots of crime, lots of murder. So it takes you a while, like you're shuffling through a whole bunch of different toe tags on various corpses, but eventually you do find Simon and Carl. The names are still appended to the toe tags, and you uncover the bodies. And I would like whoever wants to do the check, roll intelligence plus medicine.
Eileen just like checks her nails, like I'm not touching anything.
Yeah, why would a vampire touch a body?
Yep,
Yeah,
3
I've only
for
got a
intelligence.
2.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Ooh,
Charles is actually he's got a pool of 4 for this.
nice.
Oh, really? Oh, he's the one to do it then, because I've only got a pool of 3.
Yeah. I only touch living people.
That's demonstrably not true. Charles is like, that's demonstrably not true. You touched my hand 2 hours ago. And I remember
Maybe
everything
I did.
about it.
We all
If
look
I
very
did, it was
creepily
obviously
at him.
not my own choice.
All right, I guess Charles, I don't know why Charles has such a good score in medicine. But okay, so he's got a pool of 4. All right, that's a total of 3 successes. So with 3 successes... So you see Charles lean down over this body, both of the bodies, looking carefully at the tableau. They are both very, very pale, of course. He says, the attacker seems... And if it sounds like I'm reading this off a table that, gives you information based on how many successes, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I'm doing. The attacker seems an odd mix of competent and furious. There are no fang marks anywhere on the bodies, but given the kindred's ability to close fang marks with saliva, that doesn't rule out a vampire assailant. Care has been taken to slash major arteries, and there is much less blood present in the bodies than there should be. In both cases, there is significant head trauma and blunt force as well. And they have both been savaged with some sort of slashing weapon.
Interesting. Head trauma. Like,
yes.
with a weapon or...
Blunt force, so it could be a weapon. They could have knocked their head against something large and flat.
Well, who knows?
No fang marks, but that doesn't necessarily rule out a vampire.
Because vampires can close wounds.
Yes.
Again, within Vampire the Masquerade folklore, the bite of a vampire causes near sexual ecstasy, and you can also close it, but with vampiric saliva can close wounds.
It's the lack of blood that's like, they're missing. I mean, it's very methodical. It seems like a vampire covering their tracks, but we don't know.
You don't know. What's up,
I mean,
Lana?
that is a tactic that some of us use, isn't it? You know, slashing them up and hiding it that way.
It is. It could, like, any vampire, or at least any vampire who knows of or about the Masquerade probably would not do this. Because any vampire who knows about the Masquerade would be deeply concerned with not even leaving a hint that it's a vampire.
Right.
Like, you don't want to leave corpses drained of blood. That's dumb and bad. That's bad praxis. It could be. It could be a like a new vampire maybe who doesn't understand.
That's like Eileen is like, sounds like someone doesn't know how we play.
Or more mundane, Charles suggests it could be a mortal serial killer who wants to look like a vampire, which is also a problem for us because, unbeknownst to them, vampires actually exist, and we hate it when they do shit like this.
Yeah, Eileen just rolls her eyes like,
do we
they
have
never
any
get us
notes?
right.
Do you have any notes about, like, was there blood? Was there any blood, like, around them? Or on this, like, are they covered in blood? Like,
nope, they were drained of blood.
Okay, so there's, like...
There was some
some
blood left over. Like, the police files that he gave you, quite lean, but one of the things it did include was pictures of the scene. Like, there was blood left on them, but not very much. Most of the blood was mysteriously gone.
Okay, yeah, because we would expect if, like, your major artery was slashed, it should be, like, bloody as fuck.
It should be
there.
bloody
Right.
everywhere, yeah.
Okay. So how would you even do that if you weren't a vampire?
I mean,
you have to.
Charles is like,
Yeah.
syringe, I guess, if you're really
Yeah,
trying to
or
make it
some-
look like a vampire.
Would take
Exactly.
forever, and then if it
Also,
wasn't a
there'd be a mark.
vampire, there'd be a mark.
Well, not necessarily. Again, because vampire saliva can do the thing.
But we were
But if-
talking if they were immortal, trying to make it look like a vampire, and they did.
That's
syringe.
true as well. That's true as well.
Check
that would be
between their
mine.
toes. Check to see if there's a.
Wow, that's a weird kink I didn't know you had.
Paul has a foot fetish. It's canon now.
No, it's from a movie, and I can't remember which movie.
I
But-
can't remember either.
I think it's a TV show. It's like CSI Miami or some
Yeah.
shit like that.
Something, or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
Eileen's just like, ew.
Paul is like frantically going down to their feet, checking for syringe marks.
Wow.
No, there's no syringe marks between the toes, Paul, you pervert.
Anyway, we should probably leave soon before she wakes up.
Oh no, she's out for a while.
Yeah, she is out for a while, you monster.
Yeah.
Um,
Eileen was like,
All right, unless there's something more you want to look at with the bodies, that's probably. It's almost like they only gave you one table for each place you could go, and
yeah,
already.
interesting. Weird.
Well, I was wondering if, like there were any other records or things we could look through, like see if they had done any postmortems or anything like that.
No, they Weber has specifically told them
They
not
definitely
to
didn't.
because they are
Okay.
waiting. He's waiting to hear from you to
Okay.
tell him how to proceed with this investigation.
Okay.
Oh, and we probably don't want somebody investigating these. If this is a vampire, we don't want somebody looking at these bodies and doing a very serious
Yeah,
autopsy.
exactly.
Right.
That's why he's waiting on your word.
Yeah, honestly, if this is a vampire, we want these bodies fucking like disappeared,
Yeah.
cremated, just an accidental morgue fire. I volunteer.
No. Paul.
They wouldn't have like health records here,
Not at the morgue, no.
Okay.
Okay, next steps. We need to find out more about where these people were the night of, like, when they were killed, what they were doing out, what.
You could talk to the family, Carl
Yeah,
suggests.
that's what.
The families
that's
haven't
what
been
I
interviewed
was gonna
yet.
say, yeah. Definitely go talk to
Hey,
them.
Tessa, can I do my premonition thing?
Oh,
You can do
God.
whatever you want, my friend. It's Vampire the Masquerade. I was about to say D&D, but it's exactly not D&D.
Right.
Excellent. I have this thing. I don't really know how to use it, but I can experience flashes of insight.
The vampire experiences flashes of insight. These may take the form of raised hackles, sudden inspiration, or even vivid visions. While
Oh,
never too
boy.
precise, the visions can nudge the vampire out of harm's way or reveal a truth previously overlooked. Whenever a storyteller deems it appropriate, this power gives character a sudden hint that aids them in some way. Okay, so you would have to make a rouse check for this, which would give you +1 hunger, which is, it makes things risky. Like if you roll a critical or a failure on a blood die, that could do some bad things. But it's completely up to you. But yeah, I'd let you do that. I have an idea of what you might get as a
Cool.
premonition.
No, I'm curious. And also, if it fails, I'm just going to make something up, so.
A rouse check is basically just roll a d10. 5 or below, it's a failure and you gain 1 hunger. 6 or above, it's a success and your hunger stays the same. That's a fail. Okay,
No.
so you get 1 hunger, so you now have a
Okay.
hunger of 2.
Okay.
Getting a little
But you
thirsty.
also get to roll the thing. Resolve plus
Excellent.
Auspex, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay, so again, I'm.
Oh wow,
gonna
you have a
sense
really
this.
high resolve. Well, that's not surprising.
Yep.
Paul's a
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul is
and
Paul.
I might +2 aspects, so it's 4, so it's 6.
So that's 2 successes total, which is actually pretty shitty for 6 die, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Oh,
At least it
whatever,
wasn't a
it's just
bestial crit or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with 2 successes, yeah,
I
you
put my
definitely.
hand dramatically on my head,
He's doing the thing.
like the psych thing that he does. I'm doing that.
Oh my god.
With 2 successes, you get the premonition that specifically, like, people around the neighborhoods where Carl and Simon, like, people who live in the same area as them, they will talk. Like, they will give you a lot if you know how to ask them, because there's been some shady business going on in those neighborhoods. And also, Carl, his parents know more than they let on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, neighborhood. I'm sorry, I'm just writing down notes here. I'm doing the thing that I'm trying to be better about. Carl's parents.
I'm very proud of you.
And now it's time for the dramatic reenactment. I'm getting something. Just wait, hold on.
Here we go.
I put a hand out and I have the other one on my temple and I'm like shaking slightly. And I'm like, there's something coming to me from the ether and it says that these people, they want to talk. They want to tell us what the hell is going on. They want to tell us what is happening.
Wow.
He puts his hand on Carl's lips. He's like, shh, you're disrupting the ether. And on top of that, Carl's parents, they know more than they're saying. And then he collapses dramatically to the floor, shaking.
Great, let's leave him and go find Carl's parents then.
Carl steps over Paul.
Right, exactly. Eileen also steps over Paul like, let's go.
Wanda just pats his back.
I'm gonna drive your car if you don't get up, Paul.
Paul gets up, he goes, takes a lot out of you to get insight from the beyond.
Carl's
He has a trench coat. And
of course he has a trench coat. Of course he has a trench coat.
Of course he does. And it swishes dramatically as he walks away.
I would personally be upset if he didn't have a trench coat that swished dramatically. All right.
I would agree.
So where do you want to go first? Do you want to talk to the families, or do you want to spend a couple evenings or a couple hours canvassing the neighborhood? Or do you want to do something else? It's a tabletop role-playing game. You can do whatever you want.
I mean,
yeah,
Eileen
is gonna lean towards the parents, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Simon or Carl? Carl first?
Yeah, like, if his parents know something, we better figure out what it is.
I have a mission from the beyond.
No. You really don't.
I do.
You are not the chosen one, Paul.
I don't... Why would you say something like that? Are you trying to hurt me?
Yes.
All right, so you get to the address listed on the information that Detective Weber gave you. It's a little rundown house. It's been here for... It's like one of those really, really old brownstones that hasn't aged as well as the ones in Manhattan, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like 8 o'clock in the evening, so they should theoretically still be awake, if you want to talk to them.
As we get closer, Paul leans into Eileen and he goes, you want to try that boob thing again?
On his parents? Excuse me.
Maybe they're swingers.
I don't know how boobs work.
Paul is gay.
Clearly.
It's canon.
Yeah, Paul's like, what? Women? What?
I don't know how you women use your boobs. What do I look like, a straight person?
Yeah, exactly. You just shake them at people, right? Isn't that the...
Eileen is just
like a pair of
she looks
maracas.
at you. I know, she looks disgusted. Like, excuse you.
Catch Wanda in the background, just shaking back and forth.
Oh, my troubled children.
Mm.
How do you want to approach it?
Classmates, definitely.
Yeah, you could pass for college classmates. Or wait, no, Carl wasn't the one in college. Simon's the one in college. Carl is mid-30s.
Never mind.
You could do that. You could try that for Simon's family, though. That would definitely work for Simon's family.
I really wish we should just go up there and be like, we were Carl's classmates.
They'd be like, what the fuck?
Carl has been out of school for 12 years. What are you talking about?
Right.
Okay, so wait, here's the question. So we know that Carl was like a drug
Well,
dealer.
you don't know, but Detective Weber had his suspicions.
No.
Okay. If we suspect his... Okay, so I think there's two ways to approach this, in my mind. We can either come at this as we are friends of Carl's, wink wink.
Carl has friends? Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we want his drugs. Or we can come at this as we're the police and we're investigating because we think he may have been a drug dealer.
Yeah, the only problem with that is, does anyone have a badge on them?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could try posing as police, but you don't have any badges or identification or anything, and they're probably gonna ask for that.
You should have stolen that man's badge.
You know what? No, it clashes with everything I'm wearing and also my morality.
Okay. I'm open for ideas.
Carl says, I don't know, it seems like if they're living with a son who's probably a drug dealer, we should probably just, kind of spook them into telling us what we want to know. It's not hard to believe that he probably had some enemies, right? Because he was involved in drugs and shit, or probably?
Probably.
He could have been super clean, though. I feel like I've met those dudes who are like, their parents think they're angels, and they're like selling meth.
Spook how exactly?
We're vampires. I don't know. Yell at them until they get scared.
Show them my face.
Oh, that's perfect. Let's do that.
Make Juana do it. Yes. Paul
This is
pushes
what
Juana
happens
forward.
after. These are the results of his drugs that we bought.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Oh wait, this is great. No, this is great. We're dissatisfied customers. Yes, do it.
Look at what you did to my grandma.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you want someone to intimidate, I'm just looking at Juana's character sheet. She has 2 manipulation, 3 intimidation, which is,
Yes.
Right.
that's really
Be
good.
Scary.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think we walk up to that door, we tell them that we want to speak to their son because he sold us bad drugs, and then we show them Juana's face, and then Juana, you fucking scare the shit out of him.
Yep.
All right, so how do you, I assuming because you're going for intimidation, you don't knock, you pound on the door.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Loudly. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not intimidating. I'm a very wispy.
Yeah. I mean, like,
person.
Eileen's
I
not
shove
going
you
to
out of
either.
the way and I pound on the door.
There we go. Perfect.
Alrighty. It takes them a minute. You can hear some shuffling from inside. Eventually, the door opens. A weathered old man, white with graying hair, in a kind of a dingy bathrobe, eyes you as you all are standing on his stoop. He says, "Yes."
Where is Carl?
He recoils. Roll manipulation plus intimidation, Juana.
Sweet.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's a critical. That's a critical. Okay, so that's a total of 4 successes. Okay.
Wow.
Ooh, that's quite a lot of information you're about to get.
He pees immediately.
He staggers backward. He says, "He's not here anymore.
Where is he?
He's dead. Haven't you heard?"
That shitbag died?
He says,
Barton
"Listen,
goes
we
to
don't
the
want any trouble." And you hear his wife from the other room says, "Tom, who is it?" He says, "Stay in the kitchen, Martha." I'm going for like the most generic white people names.
Right, exactly.
Barge into their house. It's very intimidating people to walk into your house.
You should, like, if you don't want any trouble, then you should just let us in.
He's staggering backward. He's definitely spooked. All right, so
I
What-
barge into his house.
Oh, God.
what questions do you want to ask? You have definitely succeeded. You've got 2 criticals.
Mm-hmm. Say, like, Eileen is gonna pat him, like, she's a little scary sometimes. Sorry about that, darling.
What was Carl doing the night he was killed?
Mm.
Yeah.
Let me read some stuff really quickly. So this family, in addition to being, traumatized by the recent death of their son, they have also been deliberately they've deliberately gotten as little information as possible about whatever it was their son was up to. Because they could tell automatically, like, this is no bueno. They tell you that on the night that he was murdered, he was going out to make a delivery, which was unusual for him. Usually people came here and did business with him in the basement. As you bully this poor traumatized family, and by the way, Juana, take a stain.
Yeah.
This family just lost their son and you came in and started yelling at them, so that's a...
Valid.
So what they know is that Carl's business involved a lot of chemistry, strange smells, and lots of packages going out. And he had his contacts on his computer. He instructed that his parents to get rid of all his stuff if something happened. So that is what they did. They burnt all the stuff that he had in his basement. Including the computer, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He had a lot of chemistry equipment, they'll tell you. The computer, and bundles of unsent packages. He was a successful businessman, and he actually paid room and board in his parents' house. But he claimed that he had a lot of enemies, people who wished him ill and often assaulted him. The parents have never seen these people, though, so they can't confirm.
Any names? Is there anything you can tell us that actually was going to lead to concrete?
No, he never told them any names, but they said that Carl saw them walking around the neighborhood a lot, so if you go and talk to people in the neighborhood, they might be able to tell you more about that.
He's gonna say, "Show me to the basement. I want to see."
Yeah, they'll take you into the basement, but like I said, they burnt almost everything.
Right.
It's for a parent's basement. It could be worse. It's like it's got a separate bedroom and bathroom. It's finished, so it's not like damp and gross. But yeah, there are definitely like stains on the ceiling, where you think he was probably cooking stuff, and the fumes went off and discolored the drywall of the ceiling. He was definitely cooking something.
Nothing left. No
question.
cell phone. Nothing. There's nothing remaining.
No, they burn it all.
Everything.
Question.
That's illegal. You realize that's obstructing evidence, right?
Tom and Martha, they're like, "What are you, a cop? I don't think you're a cop. You knew my friend, so you probably aren't a saint either," he says.
I lean in super close and I get real intimidating. And I'm like, "Do you dare to question us? You who had a knowing drug dealer in your house. How many people could have died? How many
Martha bursts into tears because you're traumatizing a family whose son just died. Take a stain, Paul. What the hell?
I know, what the fuck?
Illegal.
Eileen is
It's so
glaring
illegal.
at you like, not helping.
I just don't think they're telling us everything.
Yeah, maybe you're not doing it the right way.
Maybe you should have let me be bad cop and y'all be good cop.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
You weren't being bad cop, so you gotta do that if you're gonna do it.
Got us in the house.
She's
True.
not wrong.
True.
Alright, so yeah, you think you probably have gotten as much information as you can from Carl, or Carl's parents, rather. Unless you have something specific that you want to ask.
So he went out to make a delivery. Did they have any idea about where he was going?
No.
What was he dressed like? Did he look like...
You get the impression that they knew he was cooking something, but they never wanted to confirm it, you know what I mean? Just in case, someone like you came knocking at their door one day, demanding payment. They could have plausible deniability,
Do we know anything? So we live in this neighborhood, right?
Um,
Are we from around here at all?
well, you don't live anywhere.
Fine.
But yeah, this is, well, it's not your territory, obviously. It's Sam's territory, but because you owe her a boon and you work so closely with her, you are very familiar with the territory.
Okay,
Yes.
so would we know the nightlife or like what I'm saying, like the drug dealers in town? Like, would we know that scene at all?
You probably wouldn't know names because you cannot, you don't do drugs only because you cannot do drugs. Drugs have no effect on you. You do know that there is a very, very big party and drug scene in this neighborhood. Because, it's the gross end of the Jersey burbs.
Would Sam know details?
We should ask the people.
Yeah, Sam might know something, but...
Just gonna walk up to people on the street. Show me
Yes.
to the drugs, human people.
No.
Well, that might not be the way to do it, but there is actually a table called literally asking around, like canvassing the neighborhood.
That's
Okay.
what Eileen would want to do. She's like, no more intimidation.
Why? It works so well. Fine. You tried the boob thing. It didn't work.
Right. Asking doesn't involve boobs.
Are you sure?
Have you ever talked to a person before?
I try very hard not to.
You don't want to talk to Simon's family?
Who wants to do
Depends
that?
how much time did we spend intimidating this poor family?
Not super long. It's probably you could probably get there by 9:00. You might wake them up, but,
Eileen is going to be emphatically against that. Like, if you're going to intimidate them just like you did here, then I vote no.
I didn't say that.
it's up
Got
to
a better
you.
plan.
You could...
We can go for it. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I think the plan is to do what you're saying, which is pretend to be friends.
Yeah.
Which actually works showing up at 9 p.m. because kids are stupid and they don't realize that people have
Yeah,
bedtime.
exactly.
So
Classmates.
Also, I'm that weird one auditing. The weird older lady auditing. What are you talking about?
I think you should maybe stick back.
Yeah, maybe you should just sit this one out.
I
That's
think
a
maybe
good
you
idea.
should just watch from outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stare
out.
at the grieving family from the window of this eerie car.
Yeah,
Just
that's
perfect.
great.
Don't stare. Just you have a phone. Just be on your phone or something.
Cover
Or
your face.
we really need you to stand lookout.
We need you to not terrify this family.
Mhm.
Okay.
And no intimidation, Paul. I mean it.
If your boobs work, I won't have to.
I'm not going to use my boobs on family people.
Charles is like, are we sure we shouldn't use the boobs? Because
Yeah, I think Paul. I'm sorry, I am Paul. I think Charles makes a very good point here.
I feel like that's in character. Wait, I am Paul.
So yeah, you make your way to the other address listed on the information, on the file of information that Weber gave you. This one is a lot nicer. It's in the nicer area. Well, comparatively nicer. It's definitely more suburban than urban. And when you knock on the door, a very nice looking Middle Eastern man opens the door, and he smiles at you and says, "Hello, can I help you?"
Eileen's gonna immediately try to look teary. It's like, I'm so sorry to bother you at this time. We heard about our classmate. Who is this? Simon or Carl?
Simon.
Right? Simon. And
Roll
she just
manipulation plus persuasion. 2 successes. That's pretty good. So this gentleman, his heart is immediately softened, and he says, "You are one of Simon's friends."
Yes, we're classmates.
"Please come in, come in." He immediately ushers you inside.
Eileen turns around at Paul and winks.
He glares at you underneath his sunglasses.
So he immediately starts fixing you all tea, and you can tell that he is also hurting over the death of his son.
And I guess Eileen is going to try to compose herself and be like, "Do you have any idea what could have caused this?"
He says, "Oh, it's such a terrible story, isn't it?" He says, he came home, to reconnect with his neighborhood friends, and what he's not saying is get drunk and party a lot.
Right. Eileen's like, uh-huh.
And, it was summer break and he was having so much fun, and then I got the call from the police that he had been found in a gutter.
A gutter. Eileen feigns shock and horror, who could do something like that?
Just so
says,
terrible.
I don't know, he says. Simon had no enemies. He was well liked by everyone, and all that slander about him is blatantly false, and I will not repeat it in this house.
Slander?
Eileen just nods such a nice boy. Who could ever say anything bad about him?
No one. He pats your back comfortingly.
Just out of, and we know this isn't true because we knew Simon so well. What are people saying? Because we're going to go out there, we will refute it.
He says, "Oh, I don't know if I even want to deign repeating it in this house."
I look at Eileen.
Yeah, Eileen is just gonna put on the big puppy dog eyes. We absolutely don't believe it. Just know that.
He says, "That's good of you to know. And even if there was some truth to the rumors, we set him right. It's fine. He's fine." Before, when he sniffs and he's like, "When he went up to be with Mama, his soul was pure. You understand? We made him apologize to all of those girls."
Eileen reaches out and she's like, "That's so good of you."
He says, in the end, his soul was cleansed. His soul was pure. He's hugging you desperately.
And Eileen looks over at Paul all those girls.
I know, but while you're hugging you, he mimes pointing at his boobs and is like,
"Yes, use your boobs on this poor grieving father."
She just looks at him ugh.
He is mourning, Paul. What the hell?
She's like, "No, I've got this. There's no boobs involved." Also, what exactly did he do to these girls? ?
Yeah, well, that's what we gotta find out.
Mm-hmm.
You can try, Eileen has already rolled, but I will let you try to roll charisma persuasion, if you want to, Paul.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I will do that. So I also have a pull of 5.
With 2 hunger. No, 1. No, yeah, 2 hunger, because you did the thing.
Yeah, because I did the thing.
Yeah.
So after, you spend a while, wiping, patting his back and comforting him, and his father, reluctantly admits, "Simon once confessed that he felt pressured, to live up to the expectations placed upon him, and he said he could get a little rough with the girls because that's what they like and what is demanded of him by the other guys. We, like I said, before the end, we made him apologize to every single one of his former girlfriends. He was a good kid. It was just that sometimes they made him angry,
Mm.
Several of
We
his girlfriends claimed that Simon was less than a perfect gentleman.
Paul leans forward, looks in the eyes, he goes, "Oh, trust me, I understand. You know women."
Hi, welcome to our men's rights podcast.
It's
It's fine. It was all locker room talk. It doesn't count.
They get so hysterical, you know. It's their uteruses. They just go crazy. They leave their bodies, just go wandering everywhere. And it's just...
Eileen puts a hand to your cheek, and looks at you like she's going to kill you.
Charles slaps Paul upside the head. It's like, he's extremely gay and a dumbass. I'm sorry.
Gay dumbass, my favorite type.
Just to recap, Paul said their uteruses leave their bodies and go roaming. Was that what you said?
He has no idea how the female form works.
That was a thing that was thought.
That's a thing. That's like a thing.
It is a thing.
Their uteruses went roaming was a thing?
That was a thing.
I thought your uterus became detached from the insides and just started going all over your body, and it made you crazy.
Was that the ancient Greeks or was that the Victorians?
It was
Victorians.
Victorians. Paul read it in a fucking textbook, and and he's sure that is a true thing that happens.
So the father is now a little bit concerned for your mental health, Paul.
Right. I mean, he should be.
Right, definitely.
He should be, yeah.
Help. We need to find out who these girls are and interview them.
He says, well, they're all still... He tells you they're all back in Connecticut, so it would be quite a trek to go and find them.
Okay, so they were college girls. There wasn't anybody who came back home with him?
No, he never... they were never serious enough for Paul to bring her home to the family or anything.
Simon.
What about friends? Who's his closest friends home for the neighborhood?
You could track them down, although there's no... his father doesn't have any numbers or anything. And obviously the police report is so thin because the investigation hasn't started, they haven't gotten any numbers that way either.
So the friends he was home with, we have just no idea. Maybe they were college friends.
Yeah, they could have been college friends, they could have been neighborhood friends, but his father isn't sure, and he definitely doesn't know any names or numbers or anything like that.
I think that we should, ask around. And then we know that there's slander being said about him.
Who's saying that?
Exactly. We should figure out who's saying that.
Oh, everyone, probably. You don't want to say it to, or maybe you do want to say it to a grieving father, you monster. But you get the feeling that the reason they're slandering him is because it was probably kind of true. You think he probably actually did beat his girlfriends.
Yeah, so we can ask around. Leave this father to his sad thoughts and ask other people, hey, did this asshole actually beat chicks?
Alright, so you want to go canvassing?
Yes.
Alright, so this neighborhood is, Sam's stomping ground is pretty big. And you... What's the roll for this? It's resolve plus investigation or streetwise, whichever is harder. So that's only 2 successes. So despite having a pool of 7, Charles fucks it up severely. And he had one bestial failure, so I'm gonna say he wasn't getting very much information, and he flashed his fangs at one person and they ran off screaming. And maybe someone else should roll.
Okay, Charles.
I'll do it.
Wow. You both have 2 successes. So both of you are don't worry, I got this, and then you both fuck up really hard.
Wow.
Okay, so with those very subpar rolls, I'll add the successes together. But yeah, neither of you really know what you're doing, apparently. So canvassing the neighborhood, just asking around, talking to the local denizens. So suspicious people have been sneaking around lately, is the big thing. And they also let you know that the police are irreparably corrupt, which is absolutely true. You guys know that. In fact, Sam pretty much assures that. She likes it that way. When the police are easy to corrupt, they're easy to control. They tell you that, the rumors about Simon, well, Simon's trollops like it rough. Everyone knows that, and that's probably not true.
Gross, yeah, exactly. Eileen is just
They also firmly believe that Carl was a creepy basement dweller who deserved what he got. They are also very keen on their own religiosity. Everyone around here is very pious, which that's maybe. And there are a lot of people who are very suspicious of authority and who like to take matters into their own hands. And they've been noticing these murders too, and if things get much worse, they might just have to do something about it, you know?
So a lot of vigilante or potential vigilantes.
So is it just these 2 murders, or have there been other murders that are similar?
Nope, just these 2 so far, but 2 isn't quite a pattern, but if one more is a pattern, and you can tell, like, just talking to the people that you talk to, they are really chomping at the bit to do something about this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
They could very easily turn into an angry mob. One name that you get while canvassing is Harry Lloyd. He lives in the neighborhood. He is a known stalker and murderer who just got out of prison just a couple months ago. And people have given him the what for many times. But he is protected by the corrupt and evil police.
So, real quick, Tessa, so it sounds like they almost approved of Simon's creepy abuse of women. Or did they think he deserved what he got too?
They don't. Everyone liked. Simon was very much a Gaston kind of figure. Okay. Obviously a dickhole, but very pretty and very popular and good at sports. So everyone just kind of just let him do his horrible shit.
Yep. Okay. So they knew what
Carl
he was doing.
Was a creepy guy in the basement and deserved it.
Yes, and Harry Lloyd is a name that they think Harry Lloyd might have something to do with this because he's bad news. He just got out of prison for stuff like this. So if you're looking into this, you might want to talk to Harry Lloyd.
He might be the next victim too.
Yeah,
perhaps
if we aren't careful.
So I think we're learning something here about.
You can definitely tell, like, they think Harry Lloyd is the one who done it.
Yeah.
Which, they also think that Simon's girlfriends got what they deserved, so you can't really trust them on that. But,
exactly.
It's definitely a name that you could talk to.
So, is there a way to subtly... I'm sort of trying to figure out subtly if there's been no other, like, mysterious disappearances. There's been no other, like, creepy sightings of people in alleyway. You know what I'm saying here? Like...
They'll tell you that they've seen a vagrant, several times wandering around at night.
Oh.
Where? Do we have, like, any common places?
They've seen him, actually I think it's a woman. Let me double check. It's a woman. But definitely homeless. She's been wandering around the neighborhood. But no one's talked to her. You get the idea that, there aren't very many homeless in this particular neighborhood. So they always notice, when there's vagrancy. But yes, they have noticed a vagrant. And all of them want to talk to you just so much about Harry Lloyd. They are so convinced that it's definitely this dude.
Eileen's just gonna, like, stand there and nod and be like, yes, that does fit. I see.
Mm-hmm.
You know who would be good to look for a homeless woman? Like, she looks at Juana.
Yeah.
The crazy cat lady.
Cool.
Are we sure it's actually not Juana they're talking about?
It might be Juana.
Right, it definitely was.
It's actually Juana. They've seen Juana around the neighborhood.
We spend like 4 days looking for a homeless person.
They're like, there she is, points at Juana. We're like, oh.
And I like it how they were like, oh, it's Harry Lloyd. It's definitely Harry Lloyd. And you're like, so tell me more about this vagrant.
Right.
Who cares about this person you obviously want us to talk to? Tell me about this homeless woman.
Exactly.
I mean, we should definitely
talk to him eventually. But...
We should definitely go see Harry Lloyd. Obviously, Paul like leads in. He goes, "I know these people want to think this man is the murderer, but I know people of his kind. He's probably already dead."
Then what's the harm in checking?
Oh yeah, there's no harm. We should go.
All right. So you want to do what exactly? You want to find Harry Lloyd?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we need to find out where he lives. Will they tell us where he lives?
Oh yeah, they'll tell you exactly where he lives, and times when he's out of the house, and you can find him in a dark alley. Like, they want this guy fucking dead. They hate him so much. But yeah, they'll tell you his address. By then, it's getting kind of late, but you can see the lights in the windows are on, so he's probably still awake. How do you want to approach this?
Tits out.
Tits out?
Yes. Yes.
Not up. Out.
Yeah, right. Eileen's just gonna, like, start pulling down her shirt, like, hello, anybody?
Carl's like, yep, What were we talking about? Sorry, I forgot where I was.
I think this is a good chance to do that. I think she should tackle this. We can wait here, and she should tackle this and see what she can get out of him.
But you're going to leave a lady alone with someone so dangerous?
Who's ever called you a lady? Has anyone ever done that?
Wow, rude.
Also, I
Very
think,
rude.
like, in a room between some weird guy who just got out of prison and a vampire, I think he's the
I know,
one in
right?
danger. I mean,
Exactly.
Like, oh no,
You're
I'm a
fine.
vampire. He's like, I'm so scared.
We're all fine.
So I guess we gotta seduce him. Sigh.
do you want to send Eileen in alone, or do you want to go together?
I think Eileen needs to go alone. I'm gonna like hang out beside the door, like unobtrusively.
Yeah, she's gonna like want to know what you're doing specifically because after you terrified like people, she's like, where the fuck are you gonna be then?
I feel like you're making a big deal out of nothing. I'm gonna try to stealthily hang outside there, outside the like stoop, unobtrusively.
So make that same awe roll before we get started, Eileen.
Okay.
And the difficulty this time is 1. So, I mean, you have 1 success and the difficulty was 1. So you open the door, your tits are out.
Yeah, she's like making sure they're just like, very, very prominent.
Tits out.
Yep.
The guy who opens the door, quite a bit older than you were expecting. He's maybe in his 60s. He does not even look at your face. He opens the door and stares directly at your boobs. Just, you might not even have a face for all he knows.
Oh boy. She's a little bit like, oh, okay, one of these, like, Harry Lloyd, I presume?
Without looking up from your boobs, he says, yes?
Great. It's gonna be a boob conversation. She's like, fine, he can talk to my boobs, it's okay.
And I think because you succeeded on your awe roll, you get a certain benefit, don't you?
Yeah. That's
Add the presence rating to any skill roll involving persuasion or performance. So yeah, if you interrogate him and you roll persuasion, you get so like for example, if you roll charisma plus persuasion, you also get to add your presence rating.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to up your die pool by 1 because your presence is 1.
Okay. So I'm asking him about what he knows about the murders, I guess.
You can ask him whatever you want. It's a tabletop game. You can roll charisma plus persuasion plus presence if you want to. Which for you is 4 in charisma, 2 in persuasion, and 1 in presence. So that's a total of 7. Wow.
Yeah, okay. I guess that I will do that and be like, I'm so scared. There's so many murders. What do you know?
You don't even have to explain why you're here. He is so caught up in your boobs. My god! Why can't you roll today?
I don't know.
I'm gonna play this as he is so caught up in your boobs it has become a double-edged sword.
Oh dear.
Like, you definitely have cast awe on him, and he's like, he'll tell you basically anything you want to know. He tells you that, yeah, the people in this neighborhood don't like him anymore. That is true, he did just get out of prison, for some pretty bad stuff. He tells you that a long time ago he was obsessed with a movie star, named Eliza Burton. And he took his fixation too far. He started stalking her, and then one night after he got a little too drunk, he broke into her house and he killed her.
Okay.
And, yep, he went to prison for it, and he literally just got out. And you get the sense that, like, you can understand why the neighborhood doesn't trust him. Like, he really did fucked up. He killed a woman. That's nothing to sneeze at. But when you start questioning him about these recent murders, he doesn't know anything about it, and you believe him. Like, these weren't stalking murders, these were very specific vampiric murders. Like, he never drained Eliza of blood or anything like that. So yeah, he says he doesn't know what happened to Simon or to Carl, and you believe him. As you are in there, talking, I would like everyone outside, including Charles, I guess, to roll wits plus awareness. So that was 2 successes for Juana, and 2 successes for Paul. But you all rolled 2 successes. Of course you did.
That I got.
Wow.
So I'm going to say, because Paul, both of your successes were blood die, and that fits with what's about to happen. So as Eileen is inside, you can hear Harry Lloyd staring at her boobs somehow. You didn't know it was possible, but you can definitely hear it. As she is interrogating him, and as you're kind of listening through the window, a car pulls up outside his house. And it shifts into park, and the driver steps out, and I would like you to roll the Sense the Unseen. This is a good time to do that. Wow, 3 successes. The man coming out of the car is a vampire, Paul.
Okay.
He does not seem particularly interested in going to the door. He seems interested in going up to you.
Oh, good.
He goes up to you and he says, "My boss is requesting a meeting with you, if it's all right."
And who exactly are you?
He says, "My name isn't important. I'm here on behalf of Marcus Lecter."
Marcus Lecter. Do I know that name at all?
It actually is a little familiar. Not like you've never met Marcus Lecter, but he is the prince of a neighboring neighborhood. A neighborhood prince of a neighbor prince of Sam's. You've never met him. You don't know what his deal is. You've never really been in his territory. But he says he is of the blood, and he is an interested party. He wants me to emphasize that this outreach is in good faith. He means you no harm. He just has a proposition for you. He knows the work you're doing for Miss Stokes.
Well, I'm always up for a friendly conversation. My colleagues will be joining me, of course.
He says, "That's perfectly fine." And I imagine right about now is when Eileen's like, "Okay, I have to go. Please stop staring at my boobs. Me
Right,
and
exactly.
my boobs have to leave."
Right, exactly. The boobs and I, we are all leaving together.
We have to go put
All
on
3 of
the
us.
most unsexy fisherman sweater ever in the middle of summer.
Yeah, and even though you got the impression that Harry Lloyd is innocent, you also get the impression he's super gross.
Yeah.
He's
No
gross
kidding.
and you don't want to be around him anymore, so.
Yeah.
You
Cool.
walk outside and you close the door, Eileen, and you turn and you see this big... Well, you know, like when you see a guy in a movie and you're like, that guy's a henchman. This guy
He
is
has henchmen
definitely...
on him.
Yeah, he has henchman stamped on his forehead, basically. And he says, "This must be the friend you were waiting for."
Oh, who is this?
He hasn't given us his name. He said he works for Marcus Lecter.
And Eileen, you also know the name Marcus Lecter, but only in passing. You have never met
Right.
him.
And what does he want?
He has a proposition for you regarding your work.
She kind of like looks at everyone else and shrugs like, okay. Any information is welcome. She doesn't have any qualms about it.
He says, "Excellent. He's arranged a meeting in a nearby motel. You can come in the car with me, or you can follow behind in your own."
We'll meet you there. Give us the address.
Eileen's like, wait a minute, what kind of car is it?
That's a good question. It's a lot better than Paul's shitty 80s car.
Hey!
She's
hey,
like, I'm
fuck
riding with
you.
him, bye.
It's a brand new, like 2018, like Lexus, like a really nice car.
Okay, fine. Well, Eileen can do whatever she wants, but we'll meet you there. And if you die on the way, I'm not saving your ass.
Charles is like, I'm gonna ride in the nice car. No offense, Paul, but your car smells like shit and blood.
Paul gets into his car angrily.
Wanna know which way are you
Lana gets in
taking?
with you.
Bye, Paul. So yeah, it's a very sleek.
No, Lana gets in with Paul.
Oh,
Sorry.
with Paul.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
doesn't mind the
Paul-
smell of shit and blood. Her clothes smell like shit and blood, so it's fine.
Yeah, she's like, it's cats, it's fine, I smell like cats.
All right. So Charles and Eileen ride with the henchmen, and Paul and Juana follow behind in the car. And there doesn't seem to be anything duplicitous about this so far. I mean, it's a little weird, but it's vampires are weird, guys. Like,
Yeah.
the older you get, and you have reason to suspect that Marcus is pretty old, the weirder vampires become. Like, age makes vampires behave very strangely.
Makes sense.
He takes you indeed to a motel. You're familiar with it. It is right on the border between Sam's territory and what you know to be Marcus's territory. And he holds the door open for you, Eileen. He does not hold it open for Charles, though. Charles can get the fuck out on his own.
I imagine it as the holds the door open for Eileen and then goes to shut it in
and
Charles'
it's directly in Charles' face,
exactly.
yeah.
Fast.
And he's like, ow, what the fuck? But yeah, he leads you to a room, and he unlocks it with the key card, and he opens it for you all to go inside. He says, I'll be standing watch if any of you need me.
So Juana and Paul have made it as well.
Mm-hmm. Unless you turned off on the turnpike suddenly and now you're in a buddy cop movie. I don't know.
Right. He's like, fuck it. They didn't like my car. Goodbye.
We just got lost, actually. We're just still wandering the neighborhood. I'm like, I
Juana's
thought
asking
we're
cats, how do I get onto I-95?
Turn on Spring Street. No, not that Spring
Paul
Street.
was like, no, I'm very good at patterns. I know where he went.
Oh, God.
Oh,
God.
And then you drive till morning and you burn to death in this car.
Yep.
please no.
Actually, I didn't even think about it, but having a convertible is a very bad idea.
Yeah, for a
Right?
vampire, it's a very, very bad idea.
Whatever, Paul's doing it anyway.
Oh, God.
Okay,
So,
we
yes,
pull up and we walk in. We weren't that far behind.
the henchman closes the door behind you, and you can hear him take his place outside to keep anyone from going in, or perhaps to keep you from going out. Happy Halloween!
Oh, my God.
But yes, this room has been darkened. The TV is on, but it is muted, and sitting at the shitty Formica table, with one leg crossed over the other, is a very severe-looking black gentleman with a very nice pinstripe suit and a glossy tie. He says, "Welcome, Kindred. Please have a seat." And he gestures to the chairs across from him at the table.
Eileen
take
is
a
like,
seat.
yeah, exactly. Eileen's gonna take a seat like, I never refuse from such a fashionable gentleman.
He is very fashionable. It is true.
Mhm.
And actually,
Paul's giving you hardcore side eye.
I've decided he's going to be Southern. He's got that Southern gentility
perfect.
to his voice. And he says, You're some of Sam's folk, aren't you?
We are.
Says, "Good lady, Sam. Known her for a long time." He says, "We have been amicable neighbors for, must be over a century now." And he leans across the table and he says, "You're hunting this new serial killer in our midst. Is that true?"
Well, we're trying to find out what we know.
I suppose it's all on the table. Might as well come out to the men. Yes.
He says, "I want you to rest assured that I mean you no harm, and in fact, I have a vested interest in wanting you to succeed. Now, I call myself... Have you ever heard of a Discracius?"
Have we?
Have
I
we?
don't know.
Actually, you might not if you're still kind of newish vampire, so there's a chance you might not have. So roll, this would be intelligence plus occult.
No.
Oh, wow. Kay, you gotta stop.
She's not good at smart.
She's
okay?
not having a
She's
good
only
day.
good at fashion and
She's good
booze.
at being
Hey.
pretty. So I'm just gonna give this to Paul. Paul, you, or maybe this is the ether speaks to you about what this. A Discracius is when a vampire drinks from a mortal, depending on that mortal's general mood, there's a whole chapter in the core book dedicated to Discracius. It's depending on the mood and the general balance of the humors, which is actually a thing, just not in the way mortals thought it was. Drinking their blood can give you certain temporary or even permanent powers. Like if the person you're drinking from has particularly melancholic blood, you can get certain powers. Versus if you drink from them when they're super horny or whatever, it balances and it can give you certain benefits and powers.
You need to find a really depressed people. Just go to a...
Like there are different benefits to every single kind of humor balance.
I'm gonna go to a support group every week.
Actually, they mentioned the support groups as a good hunting ground for vampires.
Oh,
But
no.
let's not get into that.
Yeah, let's not. That's a
he
lot to
says-
unpack.
Marcus says, the technical term is called Dascracius, but I prefer to call them clots. And he says, now, I am something of a sommelier of Discracius or clots, and I happen to know from experience that the clots of a serial killer are particularly potent and particularly delectable.
Mhm.
So, are you asking us to bring serial killer back to you?
He says, well, if you don't have any particular other thing to do with them, I would certainly owe you a boon if you were to do this favor for me. And I've talked... Yeah, I've talked to you about boons before. You know what they are a little bit out of character because you owe a boon to Sam. But so Marcus is a prince, which makes him quite powerful, and for him to owe you a boon would be a big thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a really tempting offer. If you were to
assuming that it's a human.
No, actually, even if it's a vampire, you can drink from vampires, and this vampire, if it is a vampire, that would be a violation of the Masquerade, so they would be sentenced to death anyway by the Camarilla.
So this wouldn't be, it's not going to be breaking anything that we promised Sam.
No, Sam just wants this to stop. Like, she's like, I don't care how you do it, just make it go away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is definitely not in violation to what you promised, Sam, and he is willing to offer you a boon in exchange.
Eileen's down with that.
You have yourself a deal.
He says, good. He says, the blood of serial killers are the best. They take away all the guilt that we feel as kindred. All of the anguish from that most pleasurable activity.
Yeah, I can see that.
He says, bring them to me alive. I will owe you my boon.
So, you've heard about the serial killer, but while we're here, I mean, any information you would have would help us accomplish this faster.
He says, unfortunately, I know probably less than you do after your night of investigations. He says, and he slides you his business card, and he says, if you need me, here's my number. We have a nice little ambulance set up, equipped with restraints to keep any unwilling subjects at bay.
Hey.
Eileen is like, oh, okay, good to know.
I don't really need to know your kinks, but okay.
And he says, I probably can't offer you much information about who it is, but all I know is I long for a taste of their blood.
Well, you can count on us. We are the best in the business.
he's going to politely not say anything to that.
Eileen is like, really?
This is like our first investigation, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty
exactly.
Sam has had you do odd jobs before, but this is definitely the first time a serial killer has cropped up that she wants you to take care of.
I don't retract my statement. I just
he believes in himself harder than he should.
Yeah, right. No. Paul believes in one thing and one thing only, and that is his ability to be the center of attention at all times, and that he is competent.
He's like, I am the main character. What are you talking about?
So Marcus, full of southern gentility, he probably bids you a very fond farewell, and he probably even kisses the hands of Juana and Eileen to get both, because he is he is a southern gentleman, and he values nothing higher than politeness. And right as you are heading out and talking with yourselves, like, well, that was an interesting little thing.
Right.
Right as you're doing that, your cell phone rings, Paul.
What is your ringtone?
What is your ringtone? I have to know.
It's the X-Files ringtone.
God.
That's so perfect, though. Charles hears it and he's like looking around like, what the hell is that? And then he turns and he looks at Paul and he's like, no, Paul.
Yes, absolutely. I pick up the phone.
Paul,
actually,
no.
I let it play just a little bit longer, and I look Charles straight in the eye, and I
open it for you. I hold it up to your head.
I just say yes, and then I say, this is Paul speaking.
And he says, Mr. Clooney, this is Detective Weber.
I'm sorry, who?
Detective Robert Weber? We spoke like 5 hours ago?
Yeah. Did we speak to... Have I
I
spoken
elbow
to any
you.
humans? I look... Oh, the man from the bar. Yes, I remember now. I'm sorry, it's been a... What do you have to tell us?
He says, there's been another murder.
No.
I'm sorry, not excellent. Thank you for letting us know. Where? Who is the victim?
He says there is a long-abandoned apartment building. He gives you the address. You know where it is. It's definitely in Sam's territory again. Right now, I've kept most of the of the police force away from it, so you shouldn't have any trouble getting inside. The body hasn't even been touched yet. You have the address. Look, get everything you need from the scene, and I'll be waiting on your word to learn what to do.
Excellent. And I hang up the phone without saying goodbye.
Oh my God. Like they do in all the TV shows, even though it seems really rude.
Right.
It's super rude.
And, like, as Paul's hanging up, he's like, oh, and by the click. And don't forget about the click.
Uh-oh.
I look at the rest of the group and I go, "There's been another murder."
And Charles is like, okay, but can we please talk about how the X-Files theme is your ringtone, Paul?
We can't talk about
Really?
that. Let's go. We have to go. It's been a murder.
Go
It's
where?
very urgent. Let's walk.
What? Where were we going?
Look, Mulder was right. Okay, let's get in.
Oh my god.
Charles is like, I hate this. All right, so you hop into Paul's shitty, awful car with the 80s car phone in it, and you head off to this abandoned apartment complex. So this is not in the nicer end of town. This is in the shittier end of town. He told you that it was on the 3rd floor. On the 3rd floor, this is obviously a squat. Someone's been living here for quite some time. There is some rudimentary scavenged furniture. There's bedding and lots of drug paraphernalia.
Mm.
This is actually not that far from, Carl's neighborhood. Carl, thank you. Carl's neighborhood. And this might be that vagrant, that they were talking about.
Damn it! I knew we should have talked to the vagrant.
Well, she's dead now. She is savage just like the earlier victims, but visibly less so. Alright, what do you want to do at the scene? You're here with this corpse in this squat. It smells like shit and drugs.
Yep.
Same thing before. There's not like a lot of blood around or on her. It's
Actually, on this one, there's a lot of blood.
okay.
Which is different from the scene, the photos from the scenes previously. Similarly savage, but this time, a lot more blood.
Interesting.
Someone's getting messy.
Charles says, or maybe they were caught in the act.
I was thinking they might have been interrupted and they had to leave.
Interrupted.
Okay, so if there's a lot of blood, is there any tracks? Are there any tracks?
Roll...
There's an investigation skill.
Yes, I'm just trying to determine what the first one would be. I'd say composure. Composure plus investigation. 2 successes. So the police haven't arrived yet, but Weber implied that he couldn't keep them away forever. So do you all want to be inside, or does someone want to be outside standing watch?
Someone has to stand watch.
Who wants
I
to
can
do
stand
that?
watch with my cats.
Yes, the
Or
scary
you can
looking
have the
one.
cat stand watch.
Exactly.
Also
Perfect.
true. Also true. I can do that thing.
Wait, can you?
I think
Yes.
she literally can, yeah.
Yeah,
Feral
feral
whispers.
whispers.
You can control cats?
Yes.
Yes!
That's her thing. She has an animal thing.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought they were just
You think
following
I was
you
just
around.
bullshitting earlier?
Yes, obviously. That's what I do.
Okay, so this requires a rouse check.
Yeah, so what does that mean again?
Roll V1. That's
Oh,
a failure.
God, please
So you
don't.
have gained a hunger. Your hunger is now at 2.
God, both of
Oh,
you.
good.
That's fine. But it also means that you find as you close your eyes and you activate this ability, and a couple cats wander up to you. And in addition to telling them what to do, you can also ask them questions if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want to do? You've got a couple of alley cats that are meowing around you and hissing at everyone else. Just you. They only like you.
Right.
Oh, I'm scratching all the kitties.
They love you so much.
And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to say, I'd like to ask if any of them saw anybody.
Yeah, they seem to think that you guys just arrived just as someone else was leaving. They don't know how they got out, but they heard them leave through the floorboards.
Okay. But none of you saw this person at all?
No, there was they found a whole nest of rats, so they were super invested in that.
Totally fair. Totally
Yeah.
fair. I understand. What else do we want to ask my kitty cats?
You can also tell them to stand watch,
Yeah,
and
that's
let you
what
know
we
if
did
something
before.
happens.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good idea. So I convince them to, take up some posts and just let me know if anything else weird happens.
Okay,
And
and
I specify weird is not like finding another.
Okay, so it says simple communication requires no dice pool test. Persuading an animal to perform a service requires manipulation plus animalism. Difficult depending on the task required. This is not a hard ask, so I'll put the difficulty as 1. So it's manipulation plus your animalism score, Juana. That's 3 successes. So yes, that definitely works. your kitties are like, okay, and then they scurry off to do your bidding. And they take little places. Some of them are at the windows, one's at the front door. They've got a good perimeter.
Eileen's like, y'all are creepy.
And they promise to go and let you know if they see anything.
Good little kitties, and I give them all scritches before they head off.
They love you very much. But they think your friends suck.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The kitties are taking watch and you are all investigating the scene. So this vagrant, it's a young woman, a very young woman. As you are all scoping out the scene, you find a lot of unsent letters to family begging to be taken back. Which is, it's
very sad.
But for the most part, it is empty. But Paul, with I believe it was your very good roll, you notice some loose boards in the wall. And in fact, you find a whole separate room behind this wall. And this looks a lot more temporary. This has a little sleeping bag in the corner of the room. And MREs? What are MREs?
It's a ready meal.
Our meals, they're called meals ready to eat, and they take
there we go.
Yeah, they're awful.
Okay, well, you find
those.
provisions.
Alright, well, you find those. And there is a small metal box near the shitty ready-to-eat meals. And noticing, the one thing that sticks out to you, Paul, because you've been a vampire for like 30 years now, this room is not sunproofed. Like, there's a big window that does not have any tape over it or anything, which tells you immediately, like, if this is where the murderer was staying, which it looks like it was because they were spying on them through this wall, there is no way that this murderer is a vampire. This vampire they would have to sunproof this room if they were staying here, even semi-permanently.
Okay.
The window is, so it can't be a vampire, because, the window, alright.
Okay, so there were no tracks. It was just... window open.
No, there were some slidey bits in the blood, like someone slipped a little bit, but the blood on the bottom of the shoe wore off quick enough. And there's nothing significant, like there's no obvious trail of blood leading half a mile away directly to the murderer.
Well, we're vampire, can't we sense blood? Can we track blood? Is that a thing?
Oh god, nope.
Unless it's in your disciplines, no.
We're not bloodhounds?
No.
Not me.
That's boring. So
I'm just really fast. That's it. Really fast and really hot. That's all.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Maybe Juana can ask cats what they think? Or you can ask the ether, Paul?
Yeah, if I ask the ether, the chances of me getting even hungrier and having to eat someone are pretty high.
So yeah, at 2 hunger, you're like, yeah, I could eat. Like, I'll probably find a snack on the way home or something like that. 3 hunger it's starting to get distracting, but you can still do your job and everything.
Okay.
And plus, there's always a chance that you pass your rouse check and you won't have to add a hunger. So what you want to do? You can roll aspects. That would certainly be fine, but you don't have to. It's up to you.
No, I might as well. It's the worst that happens. So what's the thing? It's the 1. It's just a 1.
You roll V1 to do a rouse check. Nope, that's a failure.
Okay.
So your hunger is at 3.
Well, shit. Okay,
but you do get the vision, right? If you roll a thing for it?
I have to roll it, yeah, but I have a very high...
Ooh, 3 successes. So, with 3 successes, the ether, whispers to you that, the murderer was definitely here, and they definitely left in a hurry. This is definitely an unsolved crime scene. Like, whoever called the police, they definitely saw the person who called the police, and they had to fucking book it. And they barely made it out with all of the incriminating information, aside from the metal box that you have not looked at yet. But that's another thing the ether whispers at you. Look at the metal box. It's important.
Okay.
The other thing the ether whispers to you is so that the person who called the police has informed a lot of people in the neighborhood, and something's about to go down here. You don't have a lot of time.
Oh, God. Shit, okay. I think...
No, do it dramatically. Do it dramatically.
Motherfucker.
You set this character beat up. You have to follow through.
Right. You are the Malkavian. You have to do the drama.
Oh god, okay. He's always gonna do the same thing. I just really like the psych gesture because it's so dramatic and it looks real fake. So he does that, he waves his arms around non-convincingly, and he goes, the ether is speaking to me. Silence! Silence!
Charles is like, none of us were talking.
Shush noise or shush gestures like, oh, it's gonna get real. It's gonna get real. It's totally mocking you.
I do not notice because my eyes are closed and I'm talking to the ether. I spin around in a circle and I point at the box and I go, it's telling me that we must open that box and we must do it quickly. The ether speaks to me. It says that something bad is about to happen. The neighborhood is aware and on edge. We must open this box and then we must leave. And then I collapse on the floor.
Charles once
Eileen
again
just,
steps
rolls
over
her
you.
eyes. Yeah, exactly. Eileen is gonna go for the box like, okay, whatever, loser.
All right, so you pull open the box, and tucked away inside are 2 locks of hair. One of them black, one of them sandy blonde.
Well, this is gross and creepy.
Black and blonde. Do we know the colors of the victim's hair?
You have pictures of the bodies, so yeah. You... Like, obviously, you can't know for sure without a DNA test, but almost certainly. These belong to Carl and Simon.
Nothing else in the box?
Nope, just the creepy locks of hair.
Okay.
What kind of psychopath takes hair?
I take the hair out of the box.
Carl's like, I don't know, maybe the kind that murders people and drains them of their blood?
Yeah, probably, but gross.
Do we see if there's any missing from the victim, the dead one right now?
It's a little too much blood. Lots of blood in her hair. There might be some cut off, but it would be blood-soaked. Okay. As you are all, discussing, like, oh god, why would they keep hair? one of the kitties bumps into your leg.
Yes, kitty?
He lets you know that there's a whole bunch of angry people coming.
Okay, guys, we should skedaddle.
Or,
call the
what?
detective or both.
The ether has told us to leave. We must leave immediately.
Carl's like, I still do not understand what the ether is.
Paul is still on the floor when he said that, so he gets up, like brushes himself off, and says, "Honestly, Charles, you'll just never understand. Stop asking. Let's get out of here." And he just
fucking Malkavians, I swear to God.
Seriously. All right, let's go then.
We watch I want to go somewhere safe and watch.
Okay.
Well, as you are exiting the front door, the cats, they weren't the best warning because there's already like a group of people. Like if this were 300 years ago, they would be wielding pitchforks and torches and chanting about witches. But they are already coming toward you. This is once again in their neighborhood. They are very upset and they see you. And you guys are fleeing the scene of a murder before the police have showed up.
We are walking calmly away from the scene of a murder.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but they've already seen you, and
you're the one with the detective's card and number.
And I'd like to leave it there for tonight.
There we go. That's a good, hey, angry mob fuck.
Happy October, friends! Hopefully you've enjoyed the first of 2 or 3, maybe, at the time I'm recording this it's not entirely clear, episodes of our spooky Halloween-themed adventures into Vampire the Masquerade. In case you're wondering, yes, once we finish Fracture, the next campaign Crit Fail Club dives into will be with Vampire the Masquerade. We're all really into the system so far, and I've already got a lot of ideas about the lore. If you want more information about the show or its players, check us out online at critfailclub.com. We also post full episodes on our YouTube channel at bit.ly/CFC channel. To join with me and the rest of the failers, and to listen to episodes in pre-release or even live as we record our episodes, join our Discord server, bit.ly/CFC Discord. Happy Halloween!